4 billion. Let that number sink in for a second. 4 billion. That is the staggering number of misleading, spoofed, and automated robocalls flooding American cell phones every single month. Literally 4 billion times a month, a predator is reaching through the phone network right into your pocket, just waiting for a moment of vulnerability. Now, you might be sitting there thinking, hey, I'm way too smart to fall for a scam. There's no way I'd ever voluntarily wire my life savings to a total stranger. But here is the terrifying truth. The criminals dialing your number, they aren't relying on your ignorance. They're relying on your fear. And their methods? Well, they become so technologically advanced, so deeply psychologically manipulative, that in a matter of minutes, they can drain literally every penny you've spent your entire life saving. This could absolutely happen to you.
Welcome to the Fraud Files, where we expose real scams and protect Americans exactly like you. Today's case file is a big one, and it could seriously save you thousands of dollars. We're breaking down a massive high-tech crime wave that is sweeping across the nation right now. It's destroying financial futures and leaving completely shattered lives in its wake. The details you're about to hear are going to shock you, but paying close attention to this explainer could literally save your life savings. So let's get into it.
Part 1. The Imposter Bank Scam.
So what exactly are we dealing with today? It's called the Bank Imposter Scam. And over the last 5 years, this highly organized operation has completely skyrocketed. In fact, it is now the #1 consumer complaint in America today. We're talking about everyday people just like you getting completely wiped out. According to the Federal Trade Commission, Americans lost over $150 million to government and business imposter frauds in just a single year. You guys, this isn't some petty theft operation. It's a multi-million-dollar global industry. Just take the absolutely terrifying reality of Deborah Moss. She's a 65-year-old caterer from Northern California. One day, her phone rings, and she gets a call from this very sweet-sounding woman who called herself Miss Barbara, claiming to be a representative from Chase Bank. Now, here's the scary part. Miss Barbara already had Deborah's phone number, she had her home address, and she even had her banking information. She told Deborah that her ATM card had been compromised, and to secure the account, she just needed to read back a simple 3-digit security code that she had just received via text message. But that code wasn't to secure her account at all. It was actually the authorization for a massive wire transfer. After being completely manipulated for days, Deborah finally walked into her local branch to get a new card, only to have the bank manager look her in the eye and tell her she had $0 left. Actually, it was worse. Her account was negative $989. The scammers had stolen a staggering $162,000. Her entire nest egg, just gone.
Part 2. Anatomy of the crime. To understand how these criminals are so incredibly successful, we really have to pull back the curtain and look at their exact playbook. Because you have to wonder, right? How do they bypass your natural skepticism? How do they trick you into just willingly handing over the keys to your financial life? Well, it all starts with a deceptive technology called spoofing. Fraudsters use this cheap, totally accessible software to manipulate the caller ID system. So when your phone rings, your screen actually flashes the real name and the legitimate 1-800 number of Bank of America, Chase, Wells Fargo, or maybe your local credit union. Now, the Federal Communications Commission has supposedly tried to fight this with their so-called stir-shaken framework. It's an industry standard, but it is completely failing consumers because these tech-savvy scoundrels just constantly find ways right around the blocks. So the really harsh reality here is that you can no longer trust your own phone screen, period. When it says your bank is calling, there's a very good chance it is a lie.
And the execution of this crime? It almost always follows 3 highly rehearsed, perfectly timed steps. Step 1 is the trap. You'll get a sudden text message asking if you authorized a large payment, say a $2,000 Zelle transfer. Obviously, you panic, and you text back, no. Almost immediately, your phone rings, and it's the quote-unquote fraud department. Then comes step 2, where they establish trust and induce panic. They'll calmly confirm your personal details, which, by the way, they've already bought off the dark web, and then they drop the bomb. They tell you your account is actively being drained. They might even suggest that rogue bank tellers at your own local branch are in on the heist. Then we hit step 3, the kill. They tell you that the absolute only way to protect your money right now is to temporarily move it into a safe decoy account or a hidden ledger that they've conveniently set up in your name.
And they use some deeply sophisticated psychological tricks to make the whole thing feel totally real. If you start to question them, they won't hang up. They'll confidently tell you to look up the number calling you on Google, knowing full well they've spoofed the real number. But it actually gets darker than that. Investigators have found that these operations are now utilizing artificial intelligence to generate the ambient background noise of a busy American call center. So while you're on the phone, you hear typing, you hear background chatter, ringing phones. The criminals on the line, they have solid American accents. They'll even seamlessly transfer you between different departments, like fraud, security, and even fake law enforcement agents.
You aren't just talking to some random guy in a basement. You are being handled by a highly coordinated, AI-assisted theatrical production that is explicitly designed to completely hijack your critical thinking. And once they get you to hit send on that wire transfer, the global money laundering network immediately kicks into high gear. Your money doesn't just sit around in an American account waiting to be recovered. It is instantly routed to what authorities call money mules. Recently, federal prosecutors actually uncovered a massive ring of college-age mules. These were specifically international students recruited from a hotel management school in Kolkata, India. They came to the U.S. on work-study visas, and they were living in modest apartments in places like Pennsylvania and New Jersey, but instead of studying, they were busy opening dozens of bank accounts. When a victim like you wires funds, it lands directly in the mule's account. And within hours, sometimes literally minutes, those mules wire your cash overseas to completely untraceable accounts in Asia long before anyone can hit the brakes.
Part 3. Devastating real victim stories.
Now, it is absolutely crucial to understand that the people falling for this are not gullible. They aren't careless with their money. They are victims of a calculated, high-pressure psychological assault. Take Daniel Unger, for example. He never answers 1-800 numbers, never. But when his caller ID specifically showed Bank of America, he picked it up. The polite agent on the other end alerted him to suspicious debit card transactions. Under the guise of quote-unquote rectifying the situation, the scammer walked Daniel through changing his online banking password. He was told this was to secure his profile. But in reality, the scammer was logging in right alongside him, taking total control of the account and transferring $11,000 overseas. As Daniel said himself, they're evil, and they're really good at what they do. The mental manipulation is so intense that your logic simply shuts down.
Or consider the story of Noel Phillips. He's a 33-year-old journalist living in New York, a millennial who understands technology perfectly well. One day he gets a fake Chase app alert about a $500 unauthorized transaction. Right after that, his phone rings. He was then subjected to a coordinated assault by 5 different voices, all using perfect American accents, complete with that AI background noise we talked about. They convinced him that his local branch employees were actually the ones stealing his identity. While keeping him on the phone through his AirPods, they directed him to physically walk into his local bank branch and wire his entire life savings, $30,000 that he had saved up for travel, into multiple so-called hidden decoy accounts. They literally instructed him to lie right to the real bank tellers' faces. And the devastating part? The moment that final wire went through, the realization hit him. His entire world came crashing down in seconds.
Then there's Shanna Coulter down in North Texas, who lost thousands over just a single weekend. For her, it started with that classic text message asking if she attempted a $2,000 Zelle payment. When she texted back no, the spoofed call came right in. The scammer calmly explained that to stop the fraudulent transaction, he just needed the security code that Zelle was currently texting her. And the truly twisted irony here is that the scammers weaponized the very text message that explicitly warns you not to share the code. Shanna was in an absolute panic. And by giving the scammer those numbers, she unknowingly handed over full access to her Zelle account. The thief funneled out $1,000 a day and even strung her along by calling her back the very next morning just to say they were still working the case.
Part 4. Spotting the red flags.
Listen, the stories of Deborah, Daniel, Noel, and Shauna prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that this can happen to literally anyone. The scammers are completely banking on your panic. But here's the good news. You can stop them cold if you know exactly what to listen for. I want you to grab your phone and take a screenshot of this list right now. Seriously, keep this handy. If you ever experience even one of these 6 red flags, you are being scammed. Number 1, high pressure to act immediately. Real banks do not panic, and they don't force you to rush. Number 2, you are asked to read back a 3-digit authentication code. A real bank will never, ever ask for your 2-factor code over the phone. Number 3, you are explicitly told to lie to bank tellers or hide what you are doing. Number 4, you are told to move your money somewhere else to protect it. Number 5, any mention whatsoever of transferring funds to a decoy account, a safe account, or a hidden ledger. Real banks just do not operate this way. And number 6, it all begins with that unexpected text message asking if you attempted a Zelle transfer, prompting you to reply yes or no.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, look, if I get scammed, my bank is federally insured, right? They'll just refund my money. I need to give you a very harsh reality check right now. Under a federal law called Regulation E, banks are indeed required to protect consumers against unauthorized electronic fund transfers. But here is the devastating loophole. Because the scammers tricked you into physically authorizing the wire or reading the code out loud or pressing send on your Zelle app, the banks often classify the transfer as authorized, even though you are operating under totally false pretenses. Banks will routinely deny your fraud claim, and they'll argue that you allowed the scammers access.
Victims, like an 86-year-old grandmother in New York, are currently suing major banks for failing to stop $700,000 in fraudulent wires, but the legal battles are massive and exhausting. You have to assume the bank will not cover your loss. Your protection is entirely in your own hands.
Part 5. How to protect yourself.
So how do we actually fight back? How do we build an absolute, impenetrable fortress around our life savings? You need a survival strategy. Because trust me, it is not a matter of if these fraudsters will call you, it is a matter of when. I want you to screenshot these 6 protection steps as well. This is your armor. First, if you get a call about fraud, hang up immediately. Do not say goodbye, do not ask follow-up questions, just end the call. Second, pull your debit or credit card right out of your wallet and physically dial the 1-800 number printed on the back. That is literally the only way to guarantee you are actually speaking to your real bank. Third, permanently drill this into your mind. Never, ever trust caller ID. As we've seen, it is way too easily manipulated. Fourth, never share your verification codes, Zelle codes, or passcodes with anyone over the phone. Fifth, ensure your banking passwords are completely unique. If your email gets hacked, scammers shouldn't be able to just use that exact same password to access your checking account. And finally, consider downloading a reputable call protector app provided by your cell carrier. These can flag likely scam calls before your phone even rings.
Now, I do want to give you a bit of a reality check on the justice system too. While it's true that the vast majority of these overseas cartels operate completely in the shadows, law enforcement is aggressively cracking down. Federal authorities are actually executing targeted dragnets right here on American soil. Remember those college-age money mules in New Jersey and Pennsylvania we talked about? Well, they were tracked down by Homeland Security investigations and federal prosecutors. One mule, operating out of Monroe Township, New Jersey, was arrested after using 30 fake IDs to pick up packages of victim cash from UPS and FedEx locations. These guys are facing severe prison time and certain deportation. On top of that, the government is also suing the American telecom carriers that are responsible for letting these robocalls into our networks in the very first place. So they are getting caught.
But here's the thing. Law enforcement cannot map out these criminal networks without your help. If you have already been victimized, please do not let shame keep you silent. That is exactly what the scammers are hoping for. The very first thing you must do is contact your bank directly to freeze your accounts and dispute the charges. Then, you need to file an official report with the Federal Trade Commission at reportfraud.ftc.gov. After that, submit your exact case to the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center at ic3.gov. Listen, every single detail you provide, the phone numbers they used, the specific accounts they had you wire money to, all of it helps federal agents build the map that eventually leads to them kicking down doors and making arrests. So we leave you with this really chilling question to think about. When your phone rings tomorrow and your screen flashes the name of your trusted bank, who is really on the other end? Is it a helpful representative just doing their job? Or is it a highly organized, technologically armed predator just waiting for you to make one single wrong move? Remember, this crime relies entirely on isolation and panic. The only way we defeat it is through education and awareness. So please take the red flags and the protection steps from this explainer and share them with your parents, share them with your grandparents, your friends, and your children. You could literally be the reason their life savings remain safe.
Make sure you subscribe to the Fraud Files for daily scam alerts. And please comment below if this has happened to you or someone you know, because sharing your experience could honestly warn someone else before it's too late. Stay alert, stay safe. The fraudsters are watching, but now so are we.